0.
Okay, now just quickly, you guys know that this stuff we can solve in a calculator. However, I would expect you to be able to do it without a calculator. Now, let's go ahead and do that. If I've got 5 plus W equals 17, you can do guess and check for these, can't you? 5 plus what equals 17?
That's 22.
W equals 12, thank you. Okay, now W equals 12. That's all well and good, that's a one-step problem, but what are we really doing? You need to know that we're subtracting W from both sides. So if I go ahead and do that, what are we effectively doing? We are subtracting 5 from this side, subtracting 5 from this side. I'm doing the inverse of positive 5, which is negative 5. So what I'm actually doing is W is equal to 17 take 5 is 12. All right, now I'm surprised there are still students in Gen B that can't do that, which is very concerning. Over here, now be careful with your negatives. What do I have to do? What's the inverse operation of negative 13? Positive 13, so I have to do the same to both sides, okay? In order for that to be equal, I have to add 13 to both sides. So if I add 13 to the left-hand side, that's effectively going to cancel that out. My answer is K is equal to 11. Thank you. Now, if you're ever getting confused about negative and stuff, be careful. Negative answer plus a negative answer is equal to a negative answer. What people get confused with is what? Negative times a negative is a positive. Do not confuse those. That's what students do. I know that they do it because they did it all last year. Okay? These are two different things. If I'm adding a negative number, you think about the number line. You think about positive numbers and you think about negative numbers. If I have a negative number here, like let's say that's negative 3, minus 3 minus 2 is what? Which way am I going on the number line? Left or right? I'm going left, so it has to be becoming more negative. So the answer to negative 3, negative 2 is not positive anything. It is what? Negative 5. All right, so that's one thing I just wanted to make sure that you guys are not doing, because I want you in exercise 2C to be doing this by hand, because it's so easy to do it via calculator. So what we're doing is we've added 13 to both sides. The answer is 11. Now, this time we've got for part C, we've got a two-step equation. What do we have to do? What's the inverse of positive 3? Negative 3. We have to subtract 3 from both sides, which is give us 4f is equal to 28. And we have to do the inverse operation of times 4, which is divided by 4. We divide the left by 4, divide the right by 4. Then that means that these 4s are going to cancel out, and f is equal to 7, isn't it? Okay? Is that stuff okay?
Yeah, very good.
How many steps, Luke, is the fourth problem? How many steps in algebra to undo that and find h? It is 3 steps, thank you. All right, now the fact of the matter is, this is what we're doing is we've got to, what does this stand for? BODMAS, what does it stand for? Can I get someone to throw their hand up and tell me? Brackets, power of or over, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. Now what we need to do is we need to go this way, but the problem is over here what we need to do is can we add 1 to both sides here? Can we add 1 to both sides? No, and the reason why is this, I'll show you. Look, we've got 5h over 6. If you did it like this, minus 1/6 is equal to 54. Now, if you did it like that, you could do what to both sides to get rid of that negative 1/6? What could you do? You got a plus. So can you see there that adding 6 to both sides, adding 1 to both sides is not going to cut it. You can't do it. All right? What do you have to do? You've got to get rid of the fraction. So that's the exception. How do I get rid of the fraction? Minus 6? Thank you. Times 6. Absolutely. So I'm going to get rid of BODMAS now because that's like year 8 stuff. But we do have to get rid of that 6. So what we're doing is it's 5h minus 1 over 6, and we're multiplying the left-hand side by 6, and then we have to multiply the right-hand side by 6. Now, as you can see though, 6 over 6, Anthony, get off your phone. Okay, that's fine. 6 over 6 is going to cancel each other out. 6 times 54, we don't need calculators because that's 324. Okay. What's that? Well, I don't need a calculator, all right? Sorry. Okay, you trust me. Now, 5h minus 1 equals 324. What do I have to do now? The inverse of negative 1. We've got a plus 1 to both sides, absolutely. Now, I've got 5 is equal to, 5h is equal to 325. Now, I don't need a calculator, do I? Because 20 times 5 is 100. 60, 65. The answer is 65. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay, good. So the answer is 65. Now, I wanted to show you, ladies and gentlemen, how you go ahead and then do this in your calculator. All right? Now, we've shown you this. Can I ask, what is the easiest way to find the solve? Menu 3, 1. Okay? Menu 3, 1. Wow, you've got solve. Now, if you type solve in, you get the same thing, but it takes longer, so don't do it. All right, so what we had was 5h minus 1 over 6, right? So we have to solve an equation, which means we can't drop the equal sign. 5h minus 1. Now look, what students do is they do this. They do 5h minus 1 over 6. What's going to happen there? It's going to be 5h minus 1/6. You're wrong. So what you do is, can you see that division symbol here? All right, the division symbol. Press Control and the division symbol, and look what it does. It brings up a fraction. Okay, so whenever you need to do a fraction in your CAS, Deej, get off your computer.
So you know the first time you did this video, I thought you was at home and then I started doing voices.
Yeah. No, it's here. Okay, so what you need to do is we need to put in 5h minus 1. Now we can do that, can't we? We can go 5h minus 1 over what? Over 6. Beautiful. Now that is equal to what? Don't forget the equal sign. Is equal to 54. Now, what a lot of students do is they press enter. Uh-oh. No, it doesn't work. So what you have to do, now I'm going to show you a little trick. If I press the up symbol, if I press down, okay, if I press that, I can then go back into that and I change it. I've got to tell the calculator because the calculator is absolutely stupid.
I'll put it on the outside.
No, the comma's on the inside. Comma what? H. And then that will tell us the answer. H is equal to 65. Now, I want you to, as good mathematical students, I would like you to be able to do this by hand, but of course use a calculator when you can. You might be asked to show working in certain situations. All right, is everyone okay with 2C? Okay, now I'm going to pause the video here. We're back in the room. All right, so what you need to do, it's important, when you are constructing an equation, you have to define variables. You have to tell me what the variables are. You then need to solve the equation, in other words, solve for what variables, and the variables such as cost, you could say let C be equal to the cost, and the cost is in dollars. Okay, that's what we're talking about by defining any variables. And if you don't do that, you will lose marks. Okay, you might be asked to, however, interpret the solution. The answer in your SAC was that we had a matrix last time, and we had a matrix which had this, 1925. And we asked you to tell me what was the score from each. Well, guess what? These things are variables. We've solved them, so you need to state what it is. It could be the cost after 10 days of hiring something is equal to this. You need to be able to write it in English, okay? And the vast majority of us, English is our main language, so you don't have an excuse. And for those people that English isn't your main language, you need to be able to explain things in English in this subject. Okay, so a farmer has 42 metres of fencing material and wishes to build a fenced rectangular paddock. So let's draw a picture here. And he's got how much metres of fencing? 42 metres. Now, 42 metres. And wishes to build a fenced rectangular paddock. If he wants the paddock length to be twice its width, okay, so you've got to turn this into numbers, don't you? Now, what we're going to say is we're going to let the width I'm going to let the width equal A. And what is A? What units is it going to be in? What units is it in, guys? Metres, thank you. Okay? I'm going to let the length... Yes. So what are we doing now? We're defining the variables. That's this step here. Okay? Now we're letting the length is equal... I'm going to just call the length equal to B, and that's also in metres. Now, we've got to construct some equations here. I've got two unknowns. How many equations do I need to solve it? Two. You need two equations to solve it. Otherwise, you need to know one of the variables. Okay? So if you have one equation, you can only solve for one variable. That, of course, when you've got if you know what A is, then you can substitute it in. So now what we have to do is let's just do this. Let's do, so we're saying the width is A, but it says here the length to be twice its width. Okay, so we're going to call this the width. So this is A, and the length is twice the width. Now, we know that that's B. All right. Now, so it says find the area of the paddock. Now, we've defined the variables. We've defined the variables A and B already. Write an equation. Now, first of all, what was my first equation? I've got B is equal to what? No, have a look. What is B? Twice the width. What is the width? So B is equal to? 2A. Good. That's my equation 1, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Now, we're going to look at simultaneous equations, but this is what we call substitution. We know what B is, so we can actually replace that if we had another equation. Now, let's think about it. The perimeter... No, because we don't know what A is. We don't know what B is. We only know that B is equal to 2A. However, what's the other equation? What's it say over here? A farmer has 42 metres of fencing material. What does that mean? It means that if I get it in black, or I'm going to highlight it, this distance around here is equal to what? 42, and it's in metres. You've got to be careful because sometimes we ask you in kilometres and things, and if you don't do the conversions, you get it incorrect. So, what can you tell me then? What is that length in terms of A's and B's? No. How many sides to a rectangle? 4 sides. So we've got... Let's do it the long way. We can say that 42 is equal to A plus B plus A, if you like, plus B. And in algebra collecting like terms, what can you tell us that equals? 2A plus 2B. Now, what have I left out, though? In the first equation, I've given that a number 1. What am I going to do now to this second equation? Give it a number 2. Okay, we've got 2 equations. Let's start doing things the right way in maths. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to so it says here solve the equation. So what we're going to do is our method is substitution. We know that B is equal to 2A, so therefore we're going to throw equation 1 into equation 2. And what is that going to give us? And we're doing this without our calculators. Wherever there's a B, what am I going to replace it with?
2A.
Good. So let's do that. 42 is equal to 2 times A plus 2 times B, and B is over here, isn't it? B is equal to what? 2A. So be careful, that is 2A. Now I've done some substitution. How many variables do I have? 2 or 1? I have 1. Left-hand side is 2A plus 2 times 2A is 4A. 6A is equal to 42. Can you see that? Now 6A is equal to 42. What's A? 7. So therefore we can say that A is equal to 7. Now we're not done yet because the questions is solve the equation. We want to find out what the length and the width are. Let's substitute it back into equation 1. B is equal to 2 times A, which is equal to 2 times 7, which is equal to 14. Now, a lot of students stop there, but if you want to be more methodical, what you can do is you can do this. You can say, all right, well, I'm going to check my answer. How can we check the answer? Let's check it. What's the perimeter supposed to be? Check, let's say 42 is equal to 2a plus 2b. Now, 2 times a was 7. Let's do that. 2 times 7 is 2 times 7 plus 2 times 14 is 28 plus 28 plus 14. Is that 42? Yeah. 28 plus 14 is 42. Yes, it is. That is true. So is our answer correct? Well, it has to be. Now, once again, setting up equations, your calculator can't do that. However, I'm now going to show you how to solve this system of linear equations. So, and this is going to end the video, all right? Just one sec. Now, we go to menu. We go to, what topic are we in really? Algebra. We go to solve system of equations, and it says solve system. Is this a linear equation? Yes, it is. Now, we can solve other equations, but this one is what we want. Now, I want you to practice this when you're doing this with me, please. How many equations have we got? 2. Did we call it, though, x and y? No. So what we're going to do is we're going to tab across, and we're going to go a, comma, b. And they're my variables. Okay? Now, if I then press tab and then press enter, you can now see we've got the linsolve. Now, if you want to, you can type linsolve, but the problem is that these other things are not so easy to get up. You're actually better to find it in the menu. Or if you like, you could use the thing menu 3 7 2. You could try that. It's a lot to remember though. All right? Up to you guys. But I'm going to go backwards now. Now, what were my equations? I had 42 is equal to 2a plus 2b, yes? Okay. The problem is, though, is not putting it into your calculator. It's coming up with the equations in the first place.
So that's how far we have to get to.
That's right. You come up with the equation, and in further maths, as long as you can come up with the equation, you can use your calculator to solve it. That's right. Now, 42 equals 2a plus 2b, but what else was it? Was a equal to 2b? B is equal to 2a, is that right?
Yeah.
Good, thank you. So b is equal to 2a. Now, be careful. You have to have equal signs to solve equations. Now, look at this. Because you can see there, okay, because you've typed in a and b, it's going to solve for a and b. And let's have a look. It means that a is going to be the first thing. What did we say that a was? 7. B was? 14. Let's have a look when we press enter. Look at that. Oh my God. Oh my God. Do you agree that that's pretty easy?
Yes.
Okay, would you like me to stop this video now and you guys finish off the questions from C and D?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for being so quiet.